Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Cage Talk. Remember to give this video a like, share, and subscribe. Every Thursday, Cage Talk with another fighter. Today, my guest, we have MMA fighter. Also, she did bare knuckle. We'll talk about that. We have Helen Peralta. How you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you located right now?
Right now, I am in Denver, Colorado. I
Okay.
got here on Sunday. I'm leaving Saturday morning and headed
Okay.
back to Iowa.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So yeah, I'm from Texas and I have my garage door. That's why if you see me like shivering or anything, it's freezing. It snowed yesterday in Texas, so it's cold.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it
fantastic.
doesn't happen a lot. This year it happened twice already. The last time it snowed in Texas was about 3.5 years ago um, when my son was born. The day after my son was born, it snowed. So that's the only reason I know. But it sucks. I hate gloomy weather. It makes you not want to work out, do anything. It makes you want to just hang out. But let's talk about you, Helen. All right. Um, your career. You started combat sports doing what? What led you into
Um,
combat sports?
the Ronda Rousey versus Holly Holm fight. Yeah, that's what got me interested in MMA. I watched it and I'm like, that's what I want to do. I can do that. I like the walk. I like beating people up, and I like training. I like the culture that comes with it,
Hmm.
and I don't know. It kind of stuck with me.
Well, I mean, you can tell. I mean, when you watch a fighter and stuff, you can tell if they're committed or not. And not only that, if they have heart and stuff like that. And the way your aggressive style, the way you fight, it's very fun to watch. There's never a boring fight that you're in. I mean, you always bring it to the table, and you have conditioning is excellent. So it's always fun to watch you. Again, I've watched you a couple times in Invicta and stuff like that. So you are um, really, really excited to watch. So thank you for putting up a show.
You're welcome. I
Yeah.
just love violence, especially when I have consent.
Oh, absolutely right. 100%.
100%.
Now, what is it about what's your favorite combination, or what's your favorite thing to do in the cage or in the ring? What's something that you're always kind of shooting for, almost like your signature move, almost like wrestling? So what do you got?
Signature move. I would say haymakers. I love me
Haymakers.
some haymakers. Oh yeah, it's awesome. I love seeing that look in their face because they watch my videos, and
Hmm.
they see me throwing wild punches, and I'm sure their coaches tell them, "Oh, if you throw a straight punch, you're gonna
Yeah,
get
you
there."
got
Which
her. Yeah.
she does. Yeah, it just never works out that way. And I love looking at them in their face when they get hit once, and it's like I don't want to get hit again. And I just love the way they look when that happens.
It's a
And I
good
like
feeling,
how it
right?
feels. Oh yeah, yeah. It's just like you can break someone's will right at the beginning of the fight, even without doing any damage. Just at the
Yeah.
moment I land that punch and I look at their face, I can tell if I have to work hard or not.
Yep. Now you think that the MMA is all, not that the whole thing's obviously about physically, but mentally, it's a mental game. It's more of a mental game than it is physical.
Oh, 100%. It's the same with any comeback sport. I mean, even when you're looking at people, I mean, I'm kind of newish. I don't know that much. I have a long way to go. I'm still learning because I've only been in this business for 5 years, so I have a lot of miles. But when you look at people who are at the pinnacle of MMA, at the very top, they all know the techniques, right?
Yep.
Nobody's doing anything new that the other guys don't know. So it's about who can impose their will and take the other person's dream and put them on hold. It's all about that. Maybe the day before you could have beat that person, but that night you didn't.
Yep. It's not about being the better fighter. It's about being the better fighter for that night. Correct.
100%. I mean, I know people who are killers, but they don't compete. They are
Yep.
training partners or people who do compete because they don't have the nerves to go out there
Hmm.
and deal
And
with the pressure.
and how is dealing with the pressure and stuff? Saying, maybe talking about maybe a couple of amateur fights, or even talking about your first professional fight. How is those nerves, and how were you able to handle, the pressure? Because like you said, some people just don't have that. They just can't do it.
I think the only time I actually felt pressure was on my very first professional fight. The other ones, I would get nerves. I would
Hmm.
feel a little nervous, but never pressure because I was never on the A side. I was always the B side. So nobody was expecting me to win. So if I went out there and lost, like I wasn't gonna disappoint anybody,
Gotcha.
except for myself and maybe my close friends. But on my very first professional fight, I landed a contract with Invicta, and I had less than a year and a half of training
Wow.
altogether. So now I'm competing against people. Some of them have been doing it their whole life, and all I got is just a very hard punch. So going into the fight, I couldn't stop thinking about the fact that I was aware that I didn't have the tools that everybody else had. And we were training jiu-jitsu one day, and I was going against a 9-time at the time, now he's 10-time world champion in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Bruno Malfacini. And my coach wanted me to shoot on him, but I didn't want to shoot on him because it's fucking Bruno Malfacini. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
So he said, shoot, shoot, shoot. But at the time I went to shoot, he was already on my legs, and I hit my head so hard I got a concussion. That was like
Wow.
10 days before the fight. Bad. I was so confused. I keep forgetting what I was doing.
Hmm.
And then I have to lie to my coach about the concussion because I didn't want him to cancel the fight. And
Yeah.
all I could read online was like I didn't deserve a spot in Invicta, that I was gonna get smoked because I didn't belong. And then I'm like, fuck, not only that, if I get hit, I'm gonna get knocked out because I knew. I Googled it. I didn't go to the doctor because I didn't want my coach to know. So I Googled the symptoms and I'm like, this is a really bad concussion. And I don't want to get knocked out by some girl that has pillow hands, but
Yeah.
you can't control that. So that was, I had a lot of pressure going into that one because that was a decisive moment where I'm just a brawler. Do I belong or do I not belong? So I
Hmm.
really wanted to win that fight. So I was really nervous in the back, and I felt a lot of pressure. And I got caught into reading social media posts from random people who never dared to do anything with their fucking lives. But for some reason, I made them important by giving power to what they were saying, and that was crippling.
Yeah.
I was very, very nervous for that fight.
Yeah. Social media. I've talked to a lot of fighters about that. It's just, again, mentioned a bunch of times. It's just people are just confident, behind a screen. But when they see you or this and that, I mean, it's completely different. So, I mean, there's always going to be haters, always going to be people trying to put you down when you're at your lowest. But again, like you said, it's a mental game, right? It's all about
It is a mental game.
so it's all about
It
your
is a
mental
mental
state.
game.
So
And
it's not
even after I knocked the girl out and they were
they're
talking about
still
how
talking
ugly
shit,
the
right?
punches were, she
Yeah,
was just swinging for the fences. She was on the fence, bitch. So I have to swing for the fences. That's where she was at.
yeah. Now I was looking up. Was that there was a on your Instagram there was a video of how you had the girl on the cage. Was that the fight that you kept on? It was just you were grappling her against the cage and you're doing dirty boxing this and that. And I think you were writing that you hated uh when it was training with against the cage and stuff, and you were like, oh, you kind of despised it, but then you realized as you utilized it in the fight how important grappling against the cage and dirty boxing was against the cage. Was that the fight or was that another fight? I was trying to.
No, that fight was actually my most recent fight. My
That was right.
professional debut was like 3 years ago. That was the
Oh.
one. I finished that one with my hands because that's what I like to do. On
Hmm.
my last fight, I it wasn't scheduled. I took the fight in 24-hour notice, and even on my way to the venue, I didn't know who I was fighting. So I was just cutting weight and just trying to, I
Wow.
just wanted to prove a point that I would fight anybody anywhere. I put my name out. I didn't know what weight class I was gonna be competing in or who I was gonna fight. It was
Okay.
just something I wanted to do. Like the chances of me winning that was gonna be really small anyways. But then
Hmm.
when I got there, I felt good until it was time to fight. I didn't get to eat much because my stomach wasn't handling food very well. I couldn't hear because when you dehydrate yourself like that, I lost 18 pounds in 24 hours.
Shit.
When you dehydrate yourself like that, you can't hear, and then you lose your depth perception too.
Hmm.
So that's why I kept grabbing her because she was supposed to be a boxing Olympian,
Hmm.
and I didn't want to get hit again. When you dehydrate, if you get hit, you can get knocked out, and I
Yeah.
didn't want to get knocked out, so I just kept grabbing her and grinding her against the fence.
And I mean, it was beautiful. You had her against the cage, and you were going to town. Now, what was it when you were training? Like you said in your tweet, not your tweet, your post, that you just kind of not that you didn't care for it, but you just kind of like oh, that's all we're training for today is just against the cage. And how important was it after the fact that you had that victory? Was it for every aspect of the of the game?
Well, that game like that against just grinding against the fence is
Hmm.
really it's really exhausting. And then I don't have female training partners right now. I'm
Okay.
traveling a lot, and I'm expanding my circle. I'm trying to make some connections because everybody can have skills. I don't need someone so much that they have skills. I want someone who has their ego under control, so we can make sure we don't hurt each other and we get
And
ready
we're
for a
learning.
fight.
Yep.
But at that point, it's just I'm going against men since I'm tired and I'm dehydrated, and my coach is telling me to get off the wall, but I can't because this guy is like, 170, 200 pounds. It's just holding me there.
Hmm.
And so I hated that training. But now I'm the one who tells my other training partner, there's still a few rounds against the fence.
Yeah.
I learned that night. Now it's me telling people, let's do a few rounds against the fence.
Yep,
Just
yep. I mean, you have to
every time.
utilize that fence, and now, like you said, you're traveling a lot more. You're going to different gyms where there's more opportunity for you to fight other females. Is that one big problem you have, like in any MMA gym? As you can tell, the classes and stuff like that. They're more male to female ratio. Like there's only like usually there's like four, maybe three females to a class,
Usually it's just one.
and
Yeah,
you
most of
got
the
to
time
go.
it's
You
just
got to go
me.
it, and you got to go
You
with it,
gotta
right?
go with it. Yeah, you gotta go with it. And especially for grappling, you want to be careful because even if your partner is
Hmm.
not trying to hurt you, but someone has weight on you, maybe you slip, maybe you caught your knee on a weird angle, and now you have their weight and your weight on top of that, and that's how you get injured. Like the injuries I had for combat sport has never been in a fight. It's
Yep.
always been at the
Training.
gym grappling.
Always 100%. That's every fighter I've ever talked to is either they go into the fight and no fighter is 100% when they go into the fight. And usually when they get injured and stuff, it's never in the fight, but it's always in training. It's always sparring or something like that. So you just got to pick your partners and trust your trainers, right? And
Yeah, but it's
most part.
hard to pick your partners when there's nobody to pick. And that's
Exactly.
why I'm on like this road trip. I went to New Mexico for 2 to 4 weeks, and I went to Texas for 4 weeks, and I drove from Texas here to Colorado for 1 week. Then I'm gonna go to Iowa, take a week off because I'm on like a 4 month training camp with
Wow.
no fights. The fights keep canceling or postponing or
Yeah.
just plain old bullshit. And there's this disease going around. It's called bishitis, and a lot of female athletes are suffering from it. It's a very chronic condition. You never know.
You never
It
know
could
who's
be
going to get
acute.
it.
Yeah, it could be acute too. Sometimes they're really tough until 2 weeks out, and then Bishida kicks in. It's worse than Corona, apparently.
Yeah, that's one thing that's affecting a lot of fighters now. Like you said, um, it's just the fact that this is going on, and especially smaller markets, smaller market promotions and fighters itself. It's hard to get anything lined up and for it to follow through. Because, like you said, you might have something lined up, and then guess what? 2 weeks before something happens, and so it must be frustrating just to keep training and not knowing when you're gonna fight next, correct?
Oh, for sure. For a whole like 5 weeks, I was keeping my weight very close
Hmm.
to fight weight because I wanted to like replace people. I love replacing people last minute. It felt really good because there's no anticipation.
Hmm.
So every time there's a big card, I would lower my weight
Hmm.
just in case, so that I can. That way, the girls don't have a lot of time to get bichitis, right? It would be a quick decision. I'm
Yeah.
trying to trick them into a fight, so I keep my weight down, but it's getting to be too much. But for this trip, I decided to hydrate. I'm at a different gym here. There's many high level athletes, females here, but at the same
Hmm.
time, I don't know them. So when I don't know who I'm gonna train with, I always walk around a little heavier in case somebody's feeling cute. I mean, I don't. I'm a very good training partner, and I am
Hmm.
never trying to start a fight at the gym because I'd rather get paid, and I need a walkout song for that. But if somebody loses their shit, I'm always down for a good scrap.
There we go. And talking about scrap, uh, your bare knuckle debut again. We'll go over that because you only fought one time, but I believe that it was almost not that someone like you were talking about someone decided last minute to leave, but I don't think there was anyone that wanted to fight her, right? Her name was
Yeah,
Christine.
I fought 2 times. The
Two
second
times.
one, yeah, it was so easy that I don't post much about it. Most people they want to post when they look good.
Hmm.
I haven't even shared that fight at all because it was just too easy, and I didn't care for it. So, but I do share that fight because it's one of my favorite. I
I
hate that ugly bitch, but I love that fight.
again, no comment on that one, but that was probably one of the best fights in 2000. I think it was the fight of the year in 2019, correct?
It should
I
have been,
yeah,
but
I
I
think
don't know who makes those decisions.
yeah, we'll make it right now. It was fight of the year. It was
Official. It's official now.
unbelievable fight. And can you walk me through that whole? How'd you end up in bare knuckle? Because it seems like
I
no one tries to do bare knuckle, but then they're like, well, opportunity was there, and fuck it, I took it.
Yeah, the first time I saw bare knuckle, I thought it was stupid. Like, why would I? And I always thought I had soft hands
Mm-hmm.
because I would get like my hands would injure a lot. Like they would get swollen when I punched, but I didn't realize I was just not punching the right way. You're
Uh-huh.
not supposed to punch people like that apparently. And so it's not something that was on my radar. But then I hurt one of my knees 2018, July 2018. July 21st, I remember because that night I wanted to fight for Invicta and I was not on the card. Maybe if I would have been fighting that night, I would not have got hurt at the gym. I tore my left knee in 3 different places,
Oof.
and yeah, but I couldn't. I never happened to me before. I never been incapacitated like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like I would take painkillers and like keep going to the gym. I would try to do some stuff, and it wasn't looking good.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2019 around March. Was it March? Yeah, March 2019. I was in Georgia, no, Orlando training. And I ran out of money. I didn't have any fights lined up, which might have been a good thing that all my fights got canceled because my knee really wasn't 100% yet. I just,
Mm-hmm.
like, I fell in love with the sport and this is all I do. So when I couldn't do it anymore, I couldn't think about anything else to do.
Gotcha.
But my fights fell through. I didn't have any money. I started donating blood plasma for gas money and just
Wow.
kept training while I was out there. Yeah. But it makes you weaker, because you're literally donating your nourishment. And I was doing that 3 times a week.
I heard that
And
hurts.
it doesn't, well, I have small veins, so it was a very painful
Oh,
process. And it's not even that much money anyways. It was just enough. I just wanted to fight. I was getting ready to fight for Queen of Sparta, 3 fights in one night. So I
mm-hmm.
was going hard. You have to do boxing, kickboxing, and MMA.
Okay.
And that whole entire show fell through. And so I'm like, fuck it, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
And then that day when I tore my other knee, I was like, fuck. Like, what do I can't grapple. There's no way I'm going to go into an MMA fight again without being able to bend my knees because
I mean,
it's painful. It's a big deal. So I knew the bare knuckle champion at the time. I used to follow her career because I felt like she didn't get the opportunity she wanted, and I thought it was because she's ugly, but it's not that. She's just a shitty human being. But at
oh,
the time, I thought it was just because she's ugly, and I don't agree with that. It's not a beauty contest.
yeah,
She could be
absolutely.
ugly and be a fighter, and then that's fine. But it turned out that she just has a shitty personality, and she's dumb. She talks too much. She says things she shouldn't say about promoters, and then promoters then they just kind of leave her out
Okay.
whenever they're putting anything together. Now
She
I
kind
get
of
it. At the time, I didn't.
she
So
kind
I
of she
was
kind of dug her
friendly.
own grave, basically.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
she's got a toilet for a mouth. But anyways, I was friend with her and I told her like, can you get me a fight? I didn't tell her I was injured. I'm like, all right, what do I do now? Bare
Mm-hmm.
knuckle is just punching people really hard. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going out there to box and I don't have to grapple and nobody's gonna kick my knees. So I'm like,
Yep.
all right, I'll do that. And that's how it came about. And I think they didn't have an opponent for her. Then she called me out. I didn't want to fight her. Like I didn't feel like I was at her level. I
Uh-huh.
didn't even know what I was doing. I haven't trained for it. She's been boxing. She was boxing at a high level gym. She had really high level coaches. And I'm like, fuck, I can't compete with that. But she has a weak mind. So I put a 10 in her mind and I started to live there. I bought some real estate in her little brain. And that's how I was able to beat her.
I mean, if no
I'm
one's
still
ever,
living there. I still
yeah.
have a bat in her head. Yeah, because she keeps talking shit about me.
I mean, again, I think she's still in bare knuckle. Yeah, right.
Yeah, she still is. She's still there.
Well, that's why, because they don't
That's
have
the
it.
only place she
Yeah.
can be. She doesn't have any other talent. She tried MMA, but that's not for her because she's one track minded. She can't, she's not an artist.
Mhm.
Mixed martial art, you really have. It's like you have to use all these different color pens. You can't just use black and white. With black and white is a form of art too. Bare knuckle is the easiest sport I ever done
Mm-hmm.
because you don't. It's not so physically demanding. MMA is physically demanding.
Of course. So yeah, so maybe that's why, because again, there's not many, it's not too many fighters, especially for the females, just to fight. So I guess they're kind of looking for like everything promotion wise, anyone they could grab. So, but if no one's ever seen that fight, after you watch this video, please go watch that. That was such a brutal battle, and it was so intense. I mean, I like watching females fight just because I feel like they bring more to the table than some men. Some guys are kind of a little low key. These female fighters, I mean, you guys go at it, and it's great to see. It's really really good to see, and technique wise and um, footwork. I mean, like you said, the Holly Holm versus Ronda Rousey, that was perfect game plan from Holly Holm. Her footwork in that fight was fucking amazing. So
Yes, it was.
it was, if you want to look at someone with footwork, look at the Holly Holm Ronda Rousey fight. I mean, she did it perfect. So um, that was a hell of a battle. But again, I give you all the credit in the world because that's not something easy. A lot of people talk shit and say, "Oh yeah, that's not a sport," or they wouldn't go in there, or these guys don't even, they're just throwing. But you have to have a lot of balls to step in the cage, if it's a cage or a ring, anything. So I recommend you for that. That's awesome.
Oh, thanks. And it's just not just about the fight. Sometimes I hear people saying like, "Oh, these people must be getting paid a lot." It's not. It's not always just about that. Of course, I want to get paid, but I feel like when you put yourself in the line like that, we don't usually do that. People just talk shit from the little computers all day long. They
Yep.
talk about what they want to do. Every year is the new year, new me bullshit. Never follow through.
Yep.
Right? They're always negotiating with their lesser self. They set the alarm for 8, but then they have to snooze 5 times because they can't even stick to that. So when you put yourself in a situation like that where nobody can fucking help you, you learn a lot about yourself. And then there's the glory, whether if you won, there's the lowest low when you lose, because everybody want to kick you when you're down, because
Yep.
that makes the people like they just walk around. They don't do anything worth talking about, so they want to talk about you, and
Yep.
they're waiting for you to fail to do so because talking about positive aspects of you will make them feel less about themselves, like they can't get anything accomplished. When they see someone that's following their dreams and getting it done, they want you to fail because it makes them feel less shitty about the fact that they don't do anything with their life
Absolutely.
besides just popping a kid out of every 9 months
Yep.
and continuing their shitty DNA.
Yep. I believe I that's 100%. I mean, people just like to. I feel like people are just envy and jealousy are two human flaws that a lot of people have. I try to be as positive as possible. Again, I don't like talking about when people like the Conor McGregor memes and stuff like that, the Nate Robinson meme. I mean, people are just that they just feed off negativity. Like they see that and they're like, oh yeah, that guy got knocked out. But I bet you $1,000,000 if you try to go into the ring, not you, obviously you could probably beat his ass, but like someone else, like a regular person, they get their ass kicked. So again, I feel like everyone should stay in their lane, but people just like to
Yeah.
give their opinion, and it's
But
human
but
nature.
now I'm over it now, and now I understand the business. Before I would read the messages like on the posters that they
Oh
share for me
yeah,
at whatever fight, and I would get so mad and sometimes sad. I'm like, well, yeah, I am a brawler, but also like I'm going in there with people who are better than me. It's not my fault that they can't get it done.
yeah.
I'm not telling them what to do. You can do whatever you want. I don't
Mhm.
think it's gonna work like your coach told you because not even I know what I'm gonna do next, and that's the thing. You cannot predict what I'm gonna do in a fight because I barely do not know. Like I just kind of make it up, as I go. It's just the way it is. But now I understand that when people buy the pay-per-views, they're
Mhm.
buying the right to talk shit. So if you're tuning in and you're making my post go viral and you're using my name, that to me is enough. Whether it's positive or negative actually doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
As long as your name is the way that this whole logarithmic things works is crazy. Like that's why some people choose to be the heel. People hate you, but they hate you. They have emotions towards you, and that you can monetize that.
Yep.
So now I don't really care.
Yeah. Again, in the beginning, like you said, in the beginning of your career, like you would get frustrated, but now again, it's that mentality where you just got to keep going. You just got to keep doing because guess what? People are gonna talk shit regardless. Regardless if you
Oh
do
yeah,
good, regardless if you do bad, they're gonna find something, something to talk about. So fuck it, just keep doing yourself, and that's it. And just keep going. Don't worry about what anyone else thinks. And again, your inner circle, the people that you're closest to, family, training partners, maybe manager. Those are the ones you want to keep around, and those are the opinions that matter the most. So it is what it
yeah.
is.
I brought it all the way down to choose myself.
Oh, okay. I mean,
That's the
hey,
only opinion I care about now.
hey, that's cool too.
I hope I didn't overdo it.
No, you'll be good. But I again, I wanna. hopefully we'll see you again in the cage or somewhere else where you'll fight it again. Just keep working at it. Again, I'll be watching for you. You have a fan right here, so I do appreciate all the effort you put in for your very young career. You still, again, you have a lot of miles. Where's your end? Where do you want to be in, say, 2 years, 3 years from now, as in fighting
2 years.
wise?
In 3 years, I want to have UFC gold already.
Okay.
In 2 years, I'm hoping to be top five. But it is a really tough sport. I just think I can do it. I could be over my head, but I'm definitely gonna go and try that shit out.
Yeah, there we go.
And I don't try lightly. I don't wish. Wishing is not a strategy. I put the work in. That's why I'm all the way up here in Colorado. I didn't have to. I just finished a very intense training camp, but a friend of mine said she was coming here for a week, and I said, all right, I'll meet you there,
All
and
right.
I'm here. So I'm not just wishing for it. I'm putting the work in. But I'm gonna go try it out. Could I fail doing it? Yeah, but I'm gonna be. If I fail, it will be me doing something I want to do. I'm not gonna sit on my ass like most people do because they're afraid of failing because they're afraid of what other people are gonna say about it. That's not me. I always put everything I got into everything I fucking do, and this is no different.
That's awesome. That's very inspirational. And again, we'll see. You know what? I'm not even gonna say I hope to see you. I know I'll see you in the cage. So we'll definitely see you in the cage very soon. Again, thank you so much for coming on. I do appreciate it, and I hope you have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good day.